And there we go, everyone. We are back again for another fantastic conversation on Friday Night Counter Attack. We are here, we are rocking with the sunglasses, and we are rolling for today's episode. And as you've clicked on today's episode, you know for a fact it's going to be very difficult to be doing this podcast with these sunglasses on, but I'm going to give it a very good go. It's going to be very enjoyable. For anyone who's listening to our podcast, I'm wearing sunglasses for the rest of the episode because it's our end of season awards show. It's a ceremony of sorts over Zoom, which is very fun. I am still on holiday mode. I'm still so excited to go through so many awards. The England squad has been announced. And before I introduce the rest of the panel today, who have been absolute superstars in their own right this season, it's very, very big news that I have to say that Toni Kroos, Real Madrid and Germany legend, has confirmed his retirement at the end of the season after the European Championship. So his final game for a domestic game will be the Champions League final against Borussia Dortmund, against his old mate Marco Reus. And introducing the panel this week is our ever tried, trusted, and reliable duo on the wings, I would say. On the left, we've got Sarah Pararia, looking dazzling as always, showing up for the award ceremony. Kate Abdo has to watch out for her job over the summer, which is great. Sarah, it's good to see you back again, my friend. It's been a fantastic season. And I got to experience Barcelona fandom first person from a positive point of view because I've seen Barcelona in Manchester and I've seen Barcelona in Milan, but it's the first time going to a home Barcelona game, which was incredible. But it's great that everything you told me about Barcelona, the fans, the stadium, the atmosphere, all came true. So I'm very thankful for your kind words of advice that you gave to me, which is fantastic. But before we get into that, how have you been and how was the end of your season for you?
Yeah, a bit ill over here, hence my voice. So apologies to listeners
The
for
Sean Dyche voice will come out today. I'm looking forward to this one. All of these memes of not all these memes, all these voice notes we had over the season, it's finally come true. Oh my days.
there you go. Yeah, so apologies, but no, otherwise great. Season wrapped up and we're slowly inching towards Euros and Copa America. But yeah, I have to ask you, how was your trip? You've been in Spain, you were traveling, it looked great from all your stories. You saw some football matches, but yeah, give me your best bits really quick because I'm in awe of Spain always.
Absolutely. No, it was an incredible experience to go to Spain 2 times in 2 years. And I was telling Travis, because Travis was the first person I got to go to Spain with Travis and with Suki to go watch Real Madrid last season, which was incredible. And to go and watch Barcelona at the Olympic Stadium, we were actually creating a documentary on our YouTube channel about the main differences between playing at the new camp and playing at the Montjuic, the Olympic Stadium. And that was something we spoke about prior to me going, and I wanted to learn a bit more about that. I wanted to know the difference if it had impacted the team and really understanding what it means to be a Barcelona fan, having so much riches going to Real Madrid over the last couple of years in terms of transfers, in terms of new stadiums, what the new camp will look like as well. It was a fantastic experience and a great cultural lesson in terms of learning about Spanish football, and especially going to watch Sevilla against Cadiz. That was a little local derby in the south of Spain, and seeing Sergio Ramos was very incredible to see, one of the greatest defenders of all time. And it was ringing in my ears. Hamza, you know he's won a Euros, World Cup, Euros, 3 trophies in a row, right? I was remembering that from you, Sarah. I was like, okay, okay. She's still in my mind talking about Sergio Ramos, but it is what it is. It was great to see some iconic players, some iconic stadiums, and really understanding what La Liga is. Because as you know, in England, or you've learned over the season, that a lot of English fans are always going to be Premier League is the best, this, that, and the other, but they disregard a lot of different leagues. But me being me, I love learning about different leagues. I love learning about different cultures in football and what makes it important to the fans, and learning about how the Europa League means so much to Sevilla and how it means so much to Barcelona to get back on top in La Liga and to support their own coming through La Masia. That was really incredible for me to learn and appreciate as well. It kind of resonated with me being a Man United fan and having players come through Carrington. That's a big thing for Manchester United fans who grew up seeing the likes of David Beckham, Ryan Giggs, shouldn't have mentioned his name, but Paul Scholes, now Kobbie Mainoo coming through the academy. It's very impressive to see the impressive line of young players coming through. So I was really impressed with both sets of stadiums and a really nice time to go to Spain as well. And hopefully it's not the last, and hopefully there'll be more times where we'll be going to Spain over the course of the next couple of years, which would be great fun indeed. Thank you for asking. It's lovely. Travis. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to introduce you now, Travis. But Travis, thank you for joining in with the sunglasses. Wait, where are your sunglasses gone? Did you just change that?
I couldn't see a thing.
I can't do the
they're
same with this either. I've
they're
got these
they're a
see-through
little bit
sunglasses.
yeah, they're a little bit of a darker shade than yours, so I literally could not see. I look like one of the blind mice on it a minute ago.
I thought I was
Dreadful.
looking like Will Smith in Men in Black, and I'm looking at, and they're just filthy. I'm not even clean them. I'm gonna have to leave them to the side for a bit. I was doing that Will Smith meme in my head. I make this look good. But I don't. I've not cleaned my sunglasses properly. Oh my days. How have you been, Travis? How's the end of season been for you? Seeing Spurs lose against Manchester City when I thought it could have been a very tough game to potentially lead to a title deciding end of season. But as we all know at the time of speaking, Arsenal were trophyless yet again.
What a shame. Yeah, I'm shamelessly one of these Tottenham fans who wasn't particularly disappointed that we lost that game against Man City. I think if we'd have took points off them and handed Arsenal the title, we would have never heard the end of it. So I'm not offended that we took points, that we didn't take points from them. Sorry. I'm just glad that we finished the season with a win on the last day.
Nah, that's fair enough. That's understandable. And obviously, you don't want to be that guy and who's just going to be going, oh no, we need to get better. We need to do this. We need to do that. And just like, nah, I don't want Arsenal fans celebrating for the rest of the summer, which would be great and understandable too. But onwards with the show. And before we get into our award ceremony, I have to word this better than I had it in my mind. Tony Cruz is retiring, ladies and gentlemen. He is retiring at the end of the season. He is going to be gone from the European game, the world game, the Spanish game after gracing the pitches across European football since the 2008, 2009 season, which is unbelievable to think about the longevity Tony Cruz had as an impactful midfielder, starting out as a right winger, moving into the centre midfield and dominating European football with the likes of Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, winning Champions League at both teams, and especially winning the 2014 World Cup in Brazil for Germany with that iconic 7-1 victory where Cruz and Ozil and Muller just ran riot against Brazil. There are so many great memories of such a fantastic midfielder to discuss. And before we get into our award show, we can go on for a whole special podcast about Tony Cruz because it's so special as a footballer, to me at least anyway. I'm just going to ask both of you for your favorite Tony Cruz memory of what you've experienced watching him play, how his technical ability has been elevated year in, year out. And he's just literally defined the term getting better with age. So, Travis, I'm going to come to you first, and then Sarah can give us her perspective. So, let me hear your thoughts on your favorite moment from Tony Cruz in his career.
The one that always sticks in my mind from Tony Cruz was in the 2018 World Cup, the free kick against Sweden.
Don't do this to me. I was replicating that goal in my garden for not like a kid. Like once upon a time, I was like, I just try and do that again and again and again. And I may have broken the door on my shed, but I won't tell my mum and dad that. It's such a good moment, that free kick. It was iconic to see. The greatest assist from Marco Reus as well, when you're thinking about it. Just that little stop on the ball. Almost better than Busquets for Messi in that solo goal against Real Madrid in the Bernabeu back in 2011. Another iconic gift of an assist as well. But no, carry on with what you were saying, Travis.
Yeah, it was just a world-class goal, wasn't it? And it's just always the moment that sticks in my head from him. I know you'd probably expect me to say something from, I don't know, one of the Champions League wins with Real Madrid or perhaps something from a bit earlier with Bayern, but that's just always the number one thing that pops into my mind with him.
That was his glory moment as well when you're thinking about it, Sarah, because he's been in such iconic teams over the years. The 2013 Wembley winning team against Borussia Dortmund for Bayern Munich. You've seen him win the league and the Champions League double in 2017 in one of the most iconic Real Madrid teams of all time, thrashing Juventus 4-1 in Cardiff, which is an iconic game, dominating the midfield against the likes of Marquisio, Paolo as well. It's incredible to see what happened there as well. Gianluigi Buffon's greatest chance of winning the Champions League, losing to a very, very big side in Real Madrid. But Sarah, from your point of view, even from a Barcelona point of view, I'd like to hear what your favorite Tony Cruz memory is for you.
I mean, there's so many, but this is just a funny one. You know, every year on Twitter, he wishes Robbie Williams a happy birthday because it's his favorite artist. Like that's who Tony Cruz is. I don't know if you guys saw him on Twitter this morning, but he goes, "At least I'm trending now." After
Oh my God.
like he's such a classy player, but he also has this like hidden humor that I feel like we don't see on the football pitch because he's such a well-composed player. Like in recent matches, think about the game against Bayern Munich, where Cruz was Real Madrid's most important player, controlling that entire game. So I love to see a little bit of, the lighter side of a player sometimes, especially a player that is so well respected. But in recent months, I think something that comes to mind with Tony Cruz is when he decided that he was going to come out of retirement for the national team in Germany. And then Germany had, their best international break in the last 3 years. All of a sudden he galvanized this team and he brought them back, and now they look like they're a contender to win in Germany this summer when the Euros with him. I just think what he brings to the pitch is so much more than just talent, but there's so much leadership and respect there that other players really look towards him, and it will be missed. And I really think he's going down as he's one of the best German footballers I think ever. Just
Dare I say Tony Kroos is the best German player of the 21st century? Would that be too far-fetched to say?
Miroslav Klose is shaking.
Bastian Schweinsteiger, Michael Ballack, Oliver Kahn, that's a big one too. Mesut
Podolski.
Ozil. Oh, that's very, very difficult. I mean, if they go down as winners,
Up there. He's up there.
is definitely up there. Definitely top three. Definitely a topic for another day to go through some of the greatest players we've ever seen from Germany as well. But great to hear your thoughts on Tony Kroos as well. And Travis, for me as well, I think having that free kick in my mind, that just sprung a core moment of me damaging property in my parents' home, which I probably shouldn't have, but it was very enjoyable. A very, very enjoyable summer, I should say, which is good fun. And what also is enjoyable is I think I'll wear the sunglasses for when I'm hosting awards. And we've all got the list up, which is great to see. We've all got the topics of conversation and how the award show for Friday Night Counter Attack 2024's award show will go is everyone gets to pick at least one definitive winner. So we're going to go in a certain order where it's almost like a draft because we like having our own turns and opinions as well. So as opposed to us arguing of who's the best player this season, who's the best Wonderkid here, there will be categories where specifically some of you will get 100% control and you'll have the final decision. We can have a debate about it all we like, but there will be people who will have definitive control over certain suggestions for this, which would be great fun. So without further ado, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Friday Night Counter Attacks 2024 awards ceremony. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be carnage. All of our voices will go by the end of it, just like Sarah's as well. We'll be free Sean Dyche from the podcast, which would be great. And he may even get a mention in one of these topics of what we've got, which is going to be fantastic. So without further ado, here we go. Right, Travis, first up. I don't know why I'm giving it to you, but I'm feeling generous today. You have the choice of having the final vote on Premier League's best player of the season. So where are we going with you and why?
I've gone for Phil Foden this time. I think it's been
we all quietly nodded there, so we're all unanimously
in agreement. Yeah,
we're happy with it.
Yeah, he's obviously we've known for a few years now how good he is, but I feel like this season is when he's really put his name into that category of world class. I watched the final day of the Premier League season with one of my friends, and what I said to him when he scored the second goal was, I don't think it's De Bruyne and Haaland now. I think it's De Bruyne, Haaland, and Foden. I think those are City's three core key players. He's just electric, isn't he? And, they've been missing Haaland for long stretches this season, missing De Bruyne for long stretches this season, and he's just stepped up massively. No better an example than on the last day, just this weekend, with 2 goals to secure the title. I just don't see anyone more fitting of it this season.
I think without further ado, Sarah, I mean, it's got to be Phil Foden unanimously for everyone as well. But did you see anyone else kind of sneaking in from your point of view into this player of the season from the Premier League?
I mean, I'm sure you could give some other players a shout, but this was one of the easiest ones that you had. I saw this right away, immediately Foden. I wrote it down. Like there was no other player that came into my mind before him. We've seen other players, Martin Odegaard has been brilliant for Arsenal this season. They've had a fantastic season, but that no chance was that crossing my mind before Phil Foden. And just to add on to what Trav said, not only did with the, missing of KDB and obviously Holland this season, did Foden step up, but you have to remember that they lost Gundogan and they also lost Riyad Mahrez from last season. And now that is who is stepping up for this team. It's been brilliant. 19 goals in the Premier League too. It's not short of anything but absolute brilliance. Like 19 is a law. We have to really give him his credit. I think because Holland for the last 2 seasons has been scoring so many goals. Kane was there last season, of course. You have Son, you have Bukayo Saka, but 19 goals is a lot of goals in a season, especially when you have somebody that's scoring 27 alongside you. So I really think this one was so clearly Phil Foden.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there was talk mid-season when Man City were drifting around fourth and fifth when they were talking about a certain player that they sold back in August when they were like, oh, maybe he should have stayed to fill in the gap of Riyad Mahrez and Ilkay Gundogan. But I think all of us are going to agree for our best wonder kid of the Premier League season, 21 and under. Travis has got a bit of a guilty look on his face here, so let's see what he goes for. So I'm going to suggest for our best wonder kid of the season, it's got to be the one and only Cole Palmer. We're all in agreement with that one?
Yeah, the temptation to go for Adogi was huge, but
Same with me and Mainu, but I'm just like Cole
Yeah,
Palmer, one-man team, clear and obvious to go for him.
you can't deny Palmer. I mean, where Chelsea would be without him this season, I was going to say I would quite like to think actually, because
Where
seeing them
Poch would
further
be
down the
without
table,
him. At
he
the
wouldn't
job
be in a
centre.
job. He literally would not be in a job. And
Well,
what
he'd be
scares
out of
me,
a job now.
yeah, what scares me about that is eerily similar to his first season at Tottenham. He was probably this close to being sacked, and then the emergence of Kane in November or whenever it was, he just went on that scoring run, just pretty much saved his job. And that worries me. That does worry me. I think it's ominous for next season for Chelsea. I'm a little bit worried now.
No, it's true. And Sarah, how about with you? Because one of us didn't mention Cole Palmer in their best wonder kids of the season, and I'm not looking too innocent with this one as well. Let me hear your thoughts on Cole Palmer's exceptional breakthrough season for Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, you go to a team like Chelsea from Manchester United, winning the
Man
treble.
City.
Oh, thank you.
I wish it was Man United. I wish we won the treble last season. I wish. Just not the
You
case
do,
so far.
yeah. But winning the treble with Man City and coming to Chelsea, who are a mid-table club last season, a lot of this season as well, going through all the kind of troubles they had to go through, the signings, the money, Todd Bowley alone, the managerial shifts. And at the age of 20, right? 19, 20?
Yeah, 1920 he was at.
Yeah. So he comes into this team and just absolutely smashes it. And the fact that he's also playing a leadership role, it seems too. We've seen that with, the penalty taking debacle and all that. People are looking to him for answers. And at that such a young age, it's a big weight to carry.
That's a really good point you mentioned there, Sarah, because not just only on the pitch and in the penalties, even in the press as well, the post-match news conferences as well, the post-match interviews on the pitch, it's always him, win, lose or draw. It's always Palmer, Palmer, Palmer. When it could be Thiago Silva, it could be Reece James, but like we know, he's got Reece's pieces for hamstring, so he's never really fit the club captain. So it's been literally Reece's pieces. So it's the fact that Cole Palmer has to be a leader for his manager, for his fans, for himself, and for his players as well, which is a huge burden of responsibility that he's taken on really, really well. And I thought if it wasn't for Nicholas Jackson, they may end up being in the FA Cup final this coming weekend as well, for what he did for that team against Manchester City, which was really, really big to see for Cole Palmer as well. Big character, big moments, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of Cole Palmer as his career develops even further. Maybe at a better team than Chelsea, but we've got to wait and see. But that was our best wonder kid of the season so far for the Premier League. Sarah, you're up first for best signing of the Premier League season. Would you go for the likes of Cole Palmer, Declan Rice, Mohamed Kudus in the Premier League? Where are we going for your best signing in the Premier League and why?
Cole Palmer is running it right back. There's not
Run it back, run it back.
It's so obvious. This has changed a Chelsea team completely. Not to mention, falling out with Pep last season. And, there wasn't a lot of faith in what kind of player he could be. And, there was a lot of doubt basically. And he came to a Chelsea team. He said, no, hold that. Look what I can do. And just smashed it out of the park. To me, it has to be Cole Palmer. Declan Rice, listen, was brilliant for Arsenal and fit so seamlessly, even though we thought maybe he might not at points. But Cole Palmer, I think the weight that he holds with Chelsea is more important than what Declan holds with Arsenal.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Travis, would you agree with everything that Sarah just said about Cole Palmer?
100%. Yeah, 100%. I think, like you say, Rice has been very good. He's proved me wrong because I must admit I didn't rate him before this season. But if you take Rice out,
you were more of a quinoa man, weren't you, or a risotto man? You never liked rice, did you?
Terrible. That is absolutely terrible.
Come on, I'm wearing a dad shirt, so I've got some dad jokes on for me today. It's got to be good.
Yeah, I think exactly like Sarah says, if you take Rice out of the Arsenal team, it's probably half as detrimental as if you take Palmer out of the Chelsea team. He's been the one shining light in that Chelsea team throughout the season. So yeah, it's just him. Very easy for the first 3 picks, I think.
Nicely done. This is the first.
Just quickly, sorry.
Go for it.
They've sacked Pochettino.
No way. That's a lie.
Guys,
No,
that's
genuinely.
what I was referring to when I said he doesn't have a job.
I didn't realize you were being serious. I thought you were
5 minutes
saying
before we started
No
podcast.
way.
I thought you were saying he might not have a job because
No,
he's been
he
crap.
doesn't.
But no, they've sacked him. They've actually sacked him.
Yeah. Sorry,
Who
I
did-
thought you were aware. It happened. You must have already been on the Zoom, but yeah, it happened about 5 minutes before we went live.
Crazy.
No way.
They've
I can't. I honestly
just hit form. I can't
Yeah,
understand that.
exactly.
It's just
They've
falling
made
into place now.
they've made Europe. What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Ah,
If you'd have said at Christmas, do you want 6th place? They'd have absolutely snapped your hand off for it. That is
Yeah.
unbelievable that they've sacked him.
This
Unbelievable.
to me
Come back to Spurs, Poch. Come back.
yeah. No, this to me seems like they must have
Oh.
something lined up. They must know something. They must have one of these
Potter's
managers.
still out of a job.
Oh, do you know what it is? Sorry for that crazy dinosaur roar. De Zerbi leaving Brighton.
Oh, I hope
It's
not.
happening again.
Jesus.
It's happening again. Roberto De Zerbi going from Brighton to Chelsea. It's Potter Part 2.
I was saying I hope not, but I hope so actually, because that would be disastrous.
would be
Absolutely
awful for
terrible.
them.
Awful. They'll go
Different
down.
style of football completely.
Yeah,
He'd actually
Palmer's
ruin Cole Palmer.
Palmer's going to be playing left back next season.
It's true.
That's
Same as a
dreadful.
CDM. Makes no sense. Oh my goodness me. Now it makes sense. Sorry, I apologize. I wasn't reading.
No, you're fine. Sorry.
Yeah, I thought you were making a joke. I thought you were saying he might not have a job because they've been crap, but I didn't realize he'd actually been sacked. Crazy.
Onwards with our show. Best manager of the season clearly isn't going to
Not
be.
Pochettino.
We are shameless.
Definitely not him. Definitely not him. That was perfect timing. We couldn't have had a better next category.
Oh, this is legendary. This is legendary. Okay, so
Oh, God.
this is one where for manager of the season in the Premier League, I've got 3 candidates, and this is where we all get to discuss and debate who we want as our manager of the season. So up first is one of our co-hosts who's absent today's managers who got them into the Champions League for the first time in their modern history, Unai Emery. Second is Bournemouth's Andoni Iraola, who's come from Spain and absolutely crushed it in his first season in Bournemouth, where a lot of pundits, a lot of media personalities predicted Bournemouth would go down after Gary O'Neill left. And third for me, I think he's going to be a favourite, but it may not be the victor, but he's definitely my manager of the season. It's Sean Dyche for Everton. I'm very happy what Sean Dyche has done. He could be on 48 points after his 8-point deduction for Everton Football Club has cost him from being 12th or 11th. And as you know, with the Premier League prize money that you get for being higher up in the table, that will really help them out with the transfer fees. It would really help them out with the new stadium. The fact that Sean Dyche has been consistent in his approach about we've got to focus on what's right on the pitch. We're not making mistakes off the pitch that we can't fix. I think has been absolutely incredible. And for me to have an impression of Sean Dyche over this season, for Sarah currently to have a Sean Dyche impression that's been iconic so far, that's my pick for manager of the season. But I'd like to know your thoughts going forward. Would you be happy with Sean Dyche, or do you have any other suggestions? Sarah, let's hear your thoughts first.
Yeah, this one was a bit tricky, I'll be honest, because there's several managers that came to mind when you're thinking of who is the manager of the season. Sean Dyche is an absolute great shout for what he's done with Everton, especially with the point deduction, all of it. Like he deserves all of his flowers.
And he was in a music video recently as well. I don't know if you've seen that. It's a very fun music video. I'll send it on the group in a bit. But yeah, Sean Dyche is definitely going to be my choice. But who else have you got in mind for your choices for manager of the season?
Unai's there. I think it's a bit unfair to not say Mikel Arteta as well. I think also, how are we not looking at Pep? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think, but those for me are a bit of the obvious answers. So
The business as usual answers.
yeah. Like for me, Pep is the best manager of all time. Like that's no news. That's nothing, same as usual. But I'd be happy to give this one to Unai Emery because I think really what he has been able to do. We know what he was capable of in Spain as somebody who's watching La Liga, in Europe as well. Big Europa League guy. Now he's gotten Aston Villa to the Champions League. It's been really good. It's been great. And yeah, I'd like to give it to someone that isn't Pep Klopp.
Isn't someone who isn't actually getting real life
Isn't
awards.
part of the cartel, as what Salim would say.
As what Salim would say. So Travis, you've got a deciding vote. Who would you go for as a manager of the season? I've gotten for Sean Dyche. Sarah's thinking of rather Unai Emery or Sean Dyche as well. Would you go for an Arteta, a Klopp even for his final season at Liverpool? Where are you looking for your manager of the season, Travis?
I would go for, I think if it was manager of the second half of the season, Dyche, but over the course of the whole season, yeah, Emery. I mean, when he came in, they were fighting relegation, and now they're in the Champions League. It's an unbelievable turnaround. The players that he's brought in since he's joined have almost exclusively done well. There's not really any huge transfer flops they've had. You could look at Tielemans as perhaps not been too great. But
even for a free
that,
transfer, that was a good deal.
Exactly. That's the other thing is they've not spent, 40, 50 million on him and he's been terrible. It's a free transfer. So if he's not been amazing, then it's perhaps not the end of the world. But yeah, I would say the way that he's turned around this Villa side, the way that he's got them playing, the way that he's getting the best form of his career out of Ollie Watkins as well is just really impressive.
Contender for player of the season as well, Ollie Watkins was for me.
I did want to mention him and completely forgot to give him an honourable mention. But the other honourable mention that I would have is Gary O'Neill, actually. I think
Wolves.
I wouldn't give it to him. I just think he deserves a mention. Because I think he probably deserved a mention last season as well for his job at Bournemouth. But to come in, days before the start of the season, when someone like Julian Lopetegui had just been sacked, someone who the Wolves fans were so excited about and had this vision of what the team was going to look like under him, and then for him to walk days before the season started and Gary O'Neill to come in and pick up the pieces and to do the job that he's done and do the double over my team, he's done a great job.
Sarabia.
So I wanted to mention him. But yeah, Emery all day long for me. Another easy one, I think.
Yeah, that's class. And the final one regarding the Premier League specifically is best tactical masterclass of the season. So I've got 3 games here where I thought managers had really, really good tactical awareness against some graceful oppositions that they played, and they were somewhat successful. So the first one is Unai Emery versus Manchester City, where they won 1-0 very convincingly at Villa Park in December of last year. The second one feels quite bleak to say it now, but Mauricio Pochettino versus Man City 4-4, which clearly is not his best moment at all. And finally, Sean Dyche finally breaking Everton's hoodoo of not winning at Anfield, and they won 2-0 against Liverpool earlier this season. So it wasn't Anfield, it was at Goodison Park, but they finally beat Liverpool for the first time, I think, in 6 years, which was really big to see. Like, even Carlo Ancelotti couldn't beat Liverpool with his Everton side as well. So those are my 3 suggestions for tactical masterclass of the season. Travis, let's go with you. Have you got any others in mind? Who are you trying to think of in terms of tactical masterclass?
I've gone a little bit cheeky with mine. I hope you let me get away with it. I've not gone for one specific game. I've gone for a double. So I've gone for Villa doing the double over Arsenal. Because if Villa had have lost one of those games, not only would they have not got the Champions League, we would have done, but Arsenal would have won the league. So the masterclass I've gone for is not so much in one game, but the masterclass of Emery taking the title away from his old club, the club that sacked him and made him a laughingstock in England, whilst also securing Champions League football for his current team. That's what I've gone for. I hope you let me get away with that.
You know what? I will. I will let you get away with that. Sarah, what do you think of a tactical masterclass? And I'm leaning towards Travis's suggestions as well. That was a really good one, Travis. Very bold.
This was one that I was having trouble coming up with an answer, specifically trying to go back and rack my brain and think about which one. But I love the Travis's shout with Spurs as well, because one of the games that specifically stuck out to me in terms of just tactical masterclass was Spurs' match where they went down to 10 men against Forest, even though they were up. But the way Ange had these guys playing was like, doesn't matter, everyone stay up. We're not parking the bus. I don't care if we're up 2-0. I just love how he changed the mentality of this team. And we've talked about it time and time again. I think it's just great. Like, good football, finally, exciting, something to play for. So for me, like that, I just love seeing that. But I'm happy to back Travis on this one because my answer was a bit weak.
No, they were all really good answers, I would say. Like, I was really happy with the Sean Dyche one for Everton against Liverpool, basically because he took away the title hopes for Jurgen Klopp, which was great to see. He officially took away the points tally that could have taken Klopp to the final day of the season, which was my personal favourite. But I think in terms of objectivity, for me, I'm very happy for Travis for both the Villa Park performance, but especially going back to the Emirates Stadium for Unai Emery, where again the media took the mick out of him, the fans took the mick out of him. They were all laughing at him coming back to England for doing it again, but he's done it with Sevilla, he's done it with Villarreal, and he's done it with Aston Villa. Three teams that have the word Villa in, which is great to see. So he's going to take them on to Champions League football for the first time in the 21st century. So that's big, big work from Unai Emery as well. Fantastic. Right then, we're off to the airport. We're off with our passport and we're off to Europe now. My wife is looking at me thinking, where are we going this time? Like, not you, relax, we're cool. We're off to European football because we're off to pay homage to some of the great players that we've seen across the continent, which has been absolutely fantastic. And without further ado, Sarah, this is your forte. We're off to La Liga. So very, very simple. Who is your La Liga player of the season?
Yeah, I think this one has to go to Vinny Jr.
Vinny Jr.
What a player, what a guy. Really just, he's such a targeted player for so many reasons on the pitch and off the pitch, as we know, and it doesn't get to him. He loves being the center of attention. He wants to be that guy that carries the team, and he's done that for Madrid. And there, was always a concern after Ronaldo left, after Benzema left, who was going to be the guy for Real Madrid. Look no further. It is Vinicius Jr. Absolutely phenomenal this season across all competitions, looking to collect the double, heading to the States shortly to play Copa America for Brazil. They're not looking too good, but with the season he's had, I wouldn't rule anything out. I think it's quite obvious Vinny Jr. has to be the player of La Liga this season.
I love his can-do attitude. I love the fact that he continues to want the ball in an era where a lot of players are afraid of taking on a player and losing the ball and getting hounded by people on social media, people in the crowd, and even by their teammates. But Vinicius Jr. always tries and tries again. And for me, he was the inspiration in the comeback for Real Madrid against Bayern Munich in the Champions League, which I thought was incredible, objectively speaking, because I obviously wanted Bayern Munich to win. We all did at the time when we were speaking as well. Still injustice there. It should be a replayed game. Travis, there's a big elephant in the room for a certain Englishman that's in La Liga who's absolutely killed it on all fronts. Would you agree with Sarah in terms of Vinicius Jr.? Because again, it's her forte, so she's going to have the deciding vote. But let me hear your thoughts on Jude Bellingham compared to Vinicius Jr. for player of the season in La Liga.
Yeah, look, I'll always bow to our resident La Liga expert. I'm never going to try and pretend I know any more than Sarah. I went for Bellingham. Call it English bias, call it whatever you want. I went for him. I'm happy to accept Vinny. Absolutely. We've spoke about him 1,000 times on this podcast. Just so long as Bellingham gets perhaps the Young Player of the Year award in Spain.
Oh, Sarah's got that hesitancy to go young player. There's the one at Barcelona that's looking really good. Oh.
Listen, Vinny, I mean, Bellingham, what he has over Vinny was the fact that he came into a new league, into a new team, and there was no transition period. He was there. He arrived and his bags were unpacked and he was ready on the pitch immediately. Absolutely. I think Bellingham was a close second for me, but I think Vinny brought, there's just a little bit more. He has a little bit more of Real Madrid in him. And that's not Bellingham's fault. You know what I mean? It's just from being at that team and just has a bit more of the culture, maybe. I don't know how to explain it, but Bellingham was one of the best players in La Liga for sure, without a doubt.
And then young player of the season for La Liga. Where are we going, Sarah?
Well, we're not going for Jude Bellingham, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, controversial. We don't do it.
Listen,
do it.
Oh, Bellingham, it could be one or the other again, but I think, I mean, it also is very much could be my Barcelona bias, but of course I have to go for Lamine Yamal because when you're 16 years old and you're not only coming into a team, kicking out Rafinha to take a position, scoring, you know, a goal as the youngest player ever in the Champions League, in La Liga, for Spain, and becoming Barcelona's best player of the season. I think there was just more weight on Lamine Yamal because there's so much more wrong with Barcelona, whereas Real Madrid they're way more of a solid team right now. We know that across all positions. So for Bellingham, it's not his fault. He's been absolutely brilliant, but I think Lamine Yamal was dealing with a lot more against him, and he's also younger too. Like, to me, when you think 16, I'm just like, in what world are we talking about one of the best players for Spanish football being 16? Incredible.
That's all good. I will happily accept your choices for player of the season in La Liga and young player of the season in La Liga. So without further ado, Travis, we're off to Italy for this one, Travis. And this is where you get to have your definitive say on 2 awards as well. And obviously I'll help you with the young player of award because there've been very, very good young players, but our criteria is under 21. So I've got a few names which we've got, but from what you've seen in Serie A this season, Travis, with Inter Milan dominating Serie A, with them winning the league in April, they've had some outstanding candidates for player of the season. We've got Federico Di Marco, who may be the best left back in the world. We've got Lautaro Martinez, the top goal scorer, looking primed and ready to head to the Copa America this summer with Lionel Messi, and of course Alejandro Garnacho, with Paulo Dybala out injured for the Copa America as well. We've had some fantastic players at Juventus like Gleison Bremer, Dusan Vlahovic. Rafael Leao has been on and off this season for AC Milan, just like their entire team. So it's been a very topsy-turvy team for AC Milan this season. But I'd like to know your thoughts on who you think player of the season for Serie A should be, Travis.
When I was looking at it, there was only one person that was really standing out for me, and that's Martinez.
Nice.
I think just with the amount of, with the numbers that he's put up this season, fantastic. And to do that in a title-winning team, you've got to be the main guy, haven't you, in that league? So yeah, I've gone for Lautaro this time.
Nicely done. With the young player of the year in Serie A as well, Travis, we've got the players such as Jorginho Scalvini, you've got Victor Christensen from Bologna, and you've got Matheus Sula, who's a young Argentinian player who has scored quite a lot of goals this season. But was there anyone that stood out to you, or were you happy to kind of have a debate for this one as well, for young player of season?
I'd like to throw this one out to the group and debate it a little bit. My first instinct was Scalvini. He's one that we've had our eyes on for a few months now. And I think I said a
made
couple
the
of
national
months ago,
team as well, in the Italian national team this season.
Yeah, I think I said on a couple of months ago on a podcast that I thought, maybe this summer, maybe the next one, he'd be one of the next.
You picked him on the draft as well. You picked him in your draft. You did.
Yeah, I did. So he was probably the standout for me. But yeah, I'm happy to debate this one, really.
I'm very happy with Scalvini. I mean, he was fantastic. And not obviously, but at the time of recording, the Europa League final is tomorrow. So Scalvini will be taking on the unbeatables from Germany, Bayer Leverkusen. So he's going to have a tough test on his hands. And by the time this podcast actually comes out, he could be a Europa League winner, which would be very, very big to see. But was there anyone else from your side, Sarah, that you thought for a young player of the year in Serie A that kind of stood out for you from what you've seen?
No, it was Scalvini all the way. So I'm happy to back that with Trav.
Free for free.
Yeah, listen, also you have to look at Atalanta this season because Serie A they got that 5th spot for Champions League contention as well. So he'll be competing if he stays at Atalanta, He will be competing in the UCL, obviously, like you mentioned, competing in the Europa League final. He's played 31 City On matches, 7 Europa League matches. He is an absolute staple at the age of 20 for Atalanta. So to me, there's no one that's been more crucial for any other team, any other young player for any other team. I think there's a couple shouts, but no one as important as Scalvini is to Atalanta. So I think that's an absolute great shout, Trav.
Absolutely love it, Travis. Nicely done. Now we're off from Italy to Germany. The weather's a bit cold here, bit more rain, and we are off to find out who our player of the season in the Bundesliga is. And it's very, very difficult, but it's got to be the right choice of Florian Wirtz for me. It's got to be. It can't not be. I mean, I'd love to put it as Harry Kane. I'd love to put it as Alejandro Grimaldo. You could pick the whole Bayern Leverkusen starting 11 if you wanted to, but Florian Wirtz coming back from that ACL injury. The first week that Travis started on Friday Night Counter Attack, we did a feature on Florian Wirtz coming back from his injury and how he will impact Bayern Leverkusen when he comes back. My first ever game in Germany was watching Bayern Leverkusen play, seeing their fans complain about Florian Wirtz being injured. Talking about Germany with Sarah, and she's like, yeah, Musiala, Kroos, Wirtz, that's a midfield that will cause problems in the Euros. We are basically the unofficial Florian Wirtz fan club out here, which is great to see. And I think we are all unanimously in agreement, based on your smiles and your nods and your appreciation, that Florian Wirtz is the player of the season in the Bundesliga. Would we all be in agreement with that?
Not unanimously.
Not unanimously.
Not unanimously, no.
Oh, are you going for your boy?
Of course, yeah. I couldn't say no, could I? 44 goals and assists in the worst Bayern side for 12 years. Look, I know they've not won anything. I know Leverkusen are the Invincibles, and I know it probably is. It probably is, but I couldn't not pick Kane. With how many goals he scored, I just couldn't not pick him. So if you guys overrule me, so be it. But yeah, I've gone for Kane.
Sarah, who are we going for? Kane or Wirtz?
No, I've gone for Wirtz, but I think it's fair that Travis gave him a shout because I think Kane hasn't won anything, but I think if he had, I think this would be a different conversation, right? But even when you look at what he's done alone, there's nothing more than what Harry Kane has done that he could have done more for Bayern Munich. There's literally nothing more. He did everything. Bayern Munich they just weren't enough as a team in general, but Harry Kane did have a fantastic individual season for sure. So there's credit there, but I'm sticking with Wirtz.
Nicely done. So that's 2 for 1 for Wirtz. And could this be a double? Because we've got young player of the season as well. Florian Wirtz, Jamal Musiala, Xavi Simons. They're all contenders for young player of the season in the Bundesliga. Could we give Wirtz the double? Could we give him the double for what is achieved? Unbeaten season on his first full season back.
Is
Could
he
win
21 or 22?
He was, I think it's because he was 21 during the time over season. That's why it
Okay.
counts.
I think, yeah, I didn't add him because of that, because
We
Oh,
can
no,
go
he's-
for we can go for Musiala if you want. Or Simmons.
I'm happy to go for Wirtz. Yeah, I thought he was 22 for some reason. No, I didn't have him. Yeah.
No, sorry, you're right. He was 20 until May. That's when he became 21.
Yeah, see, under 20, yeah. So it's Xavi Simons or Musiala, boys. I'll be honest with you. I went Xavi Simons.
Travis, where are we going? Xavi Simons or Jamal Musiala? Who are you picking?
I went for Simmons.
That makes
Hello.
it 3 for 3. My boy, big fan of him. And has been watching our content on Friday Night Counter Attack. So big shout out to Xavi Simons. We see you on our social medias. We appreciate you. Makes me blush from time to time, but I'm very happy. Xavi Simons, looking forward to seeing you at the Euros. You are our young Bundesliga Wonderkid of the season, which is great fun. This one's a bit of a tricky one as we're going into Champions League and we're going into Europa League, because at the time of recording, they aren't complete. They aren't concluded. We don't know who's going to win. We just know the finalists. But this is where we all get to pick one category singularly each. So we've got Champions League overachievers. So how this one works is we've got a player, we've got a coach, and we've got a team. And we've got the same for the Europa League as well. So this is where you get to highlight a player, a coach, and a team who have been overachieving in this season's campaign of the Champions League. And for me, I think I will take player. Travis, you can take team. And Sarah, you can take coach for Champions League. And then Europa League, we'll flip it around again. So, Sarah, by all means, if you had to pick your greatest overachiever, where would you go for this one and why for this season?
Are we not saying it's Carlo Ancelotti?
Overachiever. Just
Like,
another one. Just another one. Can you do the eyebrow that he does? I can't do it properly. It's like The Rock. You can't do it properly.
Yeah, that's not bad, Trav. That's not bad.
I can't wait for Travis to take off his glasses and then do it. And I'm just like, oh man, that's Don Carlo's son, his son
That's
from England.
fun. Yeah, listen, I mean, it's his tournament. He's been winning it. And even with Real starting the season not looking as strong as we potentially thought they were last season, look at what they're doing. I mean, the
We ripped
draw.
them off for the Man City game as well. We generally
Um,
did.
did you? Because I sure didn't. I
I
told
didn't. I didn't. I didn't. I
you
said
this
I said we'd be okay because I
my
backed I
my head.
backed Bayern Munich versus Real Madrid. I think we said it on the live stream, but we changed our minds like 2, 3 times. So it was
Yeah.
always very difficult.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone. I mean, Ancelotti is just an absolute brilliant manager. He knows exactly how to win tournament style football. He knows what he's doing with this team and just time and time again proves us all wrong. So I don't think there's anyone. If we're talking about overachievers in the Champions League, all three of these are Real Madrid, in my opinion.
It's true. You're looking at it and you're thinking about how well these teams have done. Travis, overachieving team of the Champions League. Who are you going to go for with this one?
I think this one was fairly easy. I've gone for Dortmund.
Nice.
I think if you'd have talked about them getting into the final at the start of the season, I would have laughed at you. So yeah, that one I think sort of picked itself really.
Getting out of the group was very difficult in itself with the
That's
group
the other
of
thing I
death.
was going to mention. I've made a note of it here, read the note, and then just completely didn't mention it. But yeah, group of death at the start of the season: Newcastle, AC Milan, PSG. I think they were probably, you could look at it now in hindsight, and it's easy to say whatever you like. But I think generally people were all saying it was probably Dortmund who were going to finish bottom of that group. Obviously, PSG are PSG. I think AC Milan had just come off the back of winning Serie A, correct?
No, they didn't win last season, but they got to the semi-finals of the Champions League last season.
That's the one. And then obviously Newcastle had this amazing season last season as well. I think everybody expected Dortmund to not go through that group, and they came through it with flying colours, and then they've gone on to the final as well. I'd never would have expected that.
Yeah, I was looking at them in the game against Atletico Madrid, and I will hold my hands up and say I thought Atletico Madrid would have gone through, but Sebastian Haller had other ideas, and so did Mats Hummels, and so did Edin Terzic. He was absolutely incredible in what he's done so far for Borussia Dortmund, from becoming a fan, watching them at Wembley Stadium in 2013, to actually managing them 11 years later. Iconic story that it's got in Borussia Dortmund folklore as well. Player, overachiever. I'm going to be shameless here. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry to our audience at home, but I'm going to be shameless here. Rasmus Højlund.
Get out. No.
5 goals in his debut Champions League season. In the worst Man United team in modern history. That's got to be worth something, right? That's got to be worth something. That's incredible what he's done. And his team has failed behind him. Rashford dropped from the England squad. You're seeing all these injuries behind him. His manager not knowing what to say in press conferences, and has kept doing the business. He won't win it. He won't be my actual choice, but I wanted to shout out what he did in the Champions League because a lot of people forget what a talented player this guy is. So Rasmus Højlund, you're a great honorable mention. But I think for me, my overachieving player of the season, I'm sorry, we're going to have to go to Borussia Dortmund again. It's not really original, but Mats Hummels, he didn't make the Germany squad for the European Championships this summer. And his having some amazing passing ability. People forget how much of a good footballer Mats Hummels is. Not as an athlete, not as a bodybuilding centre back, as a footballer. His technical ability on the ball, his outside the boot passes, scoring that crucial goal in Paris to secure a Champions League final again. It's amazing to see what Mats Hummels has done with his career. 37 years of age. And we were talking about Pepe previously this season. We're talking about Antonio Rudiger when James was on the draft as well. Mats Hummels deserves his respect and his flowers. And I hope he walks away from Wembley Stadium with the Champions League in his arms as well, because everyone talks about Marco Reus and his final season at Dortmund. Fair enough, what a player. But Mats Hummels has been through the trenches as a footballer as well and has done so well in German football. And for him to be disrespected and left out the Euro squad, for me, is a very, very big insult from Julian Nagelsmann as well. So Mats Hummels, you are the guy. You are the overachiever in the UEFA Champions League this season. Right then, Europa League. I will do team. Sarah, you will do player. And Travis, you will do coach. That means we've got two different categories for everyone. Travis, where are we going with your one? First up, where we go?
I'll be honest, you caught me off guard here
That's okay.
because when you put on the notes player, comma, coach, comma, team, I thought you meant pick one. So
You can pick one. You
I've
can pick one.
I've
I'll just find the
I've
others.
only picked teams for Champions League overachievers and Europa League overachievers.
Going for West Ham.
Um, I went for Roma actually
Oh, nice.
because I thought after sacking Jose to then come through Brighton and AC Milan in the knockouts
Mm.
and then come very, very close to knocking out Leverkusen, who've obviously been invincible so far, with a new manager, a young manager, an inexperienced manager, with a team lacking confidence. I just thought that they were kind of, when I looked at who'd been in the Europa League this season, they were kind of the only real standout story for me. I couldn't really see anything which grabbed me too much other than that.
It's more about the Daniele De Rossi story as well. The fact, again, another former player turning coach, looking to re-galvanize a disgruntled group of troops in the team that just can't play the right football. They're not hitting the target with their shooting. They've got 5 strikers and none of them can hit the target in the right way. Had injuries. Azmoun going off to the Asia Cup in January, the only informed striker at the time. Now Dybala's injured as well. So it's good to see how he almost rejuvenized a very, very interesting story in the Europa League this season. So I'll happily give Roma their flowers as well. Sarah, have you got a player in mind or a coach in mind that you think has been an overachiever in the Europa League this season?
Yeah, player has to be Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
I
What
like that choice. I like that choice.
what it meant to him, you saw the tears after Marseille got kicked out, 10 goals in Europa League this season. But I was looking into him a bit more and I realized he's the top scorer in the tournament of all time, ahead of your boy, Henrik Larsson.
Mm.
8 goals in Europa League throughout the years. I mean, absolute class. You know, Marseille this season finished 8th in League 1. Obviously not a great season for them, but still went the distance in Europa League. And Aubameyang, like, I mean, it doesn't matter where he goes. He's one of those players, like, you know, an Olivier Giroud, a Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Age doesn't matter. He's still banging them in. So I really, really like feel good shouting him out because he's just he doesn't stop.
We spoke about it when AFCON was around as well. He's one of the greatest African strikers of all time, but because his nation hardly get qualified for the tournament for AFCON, he's barely noticed on the international stage. And then when he was playing during his prime years, dare I say, at Borussia Dortmund and Arsenal, he was playing for clubs that were nearly clubs. They weren't getting to the trophies that they deserved, and he wasn't getting to the trophies that he deserved. So he's wasted his prime years. And I will say wasted. He wasted his prime years at Arsenal, losing, I think, the Europa League final. I don't think he was there for that, wasn't he, Travis? Europa League
Yeah, it
final
was
versus
there.
Chelsea. Yeah, under Unai Emery. So it goes to show that he's had this heartbreak again and again and again, and he's won an FA Cup, and he was basically Mikel Arteta's savior. And then now Mikel Arteta's trophyless, but playing better football, but without Aubameyang, and Aubameyang's still looking for that beast of silverware to go, you know what? I deserve it because I was a top quality striker on my day, and his day is still happening in the Europa League. And like Sarah said, it's a very big credit to him. That is the all-time top goal scorer of the Europa League, which is great to see with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, which is fantastic. And for me, my Europa League overachiever, I think I've got to go to Atalanta for this. I've got to go for Gasperini, Gian Piero Gasperini. Football hipsters' dreams of how fantastic of a team Atlanta can be, how they run as a club, how they've improved over the years. I just think he's gone one step too far because I think for me personally, Marseille had a better chance of beating Bayer Leverkusen. We're yet to be proved right or wrong. As we know on Friday when this comes out, I could look like a fool, but I genuinely think Gasperini's taken his team as far as possible and has been a fantastic servant in Italian football for many, many years as well. So that's it for Europa League and for European football. Right then, now we're on to international. This is very serious and straightforward. Oh, this will be fun. What's been your favorite? This isn't an award. This is just a question to you guys, by the way. But what's your favorite international football moment of the season? Travis, Sarah, and myself. We've got all our own individual favorites. It's going to be from any tournament, a friendly if you want it to as well. It's not really an award. It's just a bit of an appreciation for international football. So, Sarah, let's go with you first. We've had the Asia Cup. We've had AFCON. You've seen Lamine Yamal have his debut for Spain this season as well, scoring at the Bernabeu. Incredible moments across for Spain, Argentina, Iran, and of course, your favorite team, Denmark. So where are we going for international football for you, Sarah?
Yeah, this one was tricky. Because of the following questions with AFCON and Asia Cup, I wanted to go a little bit different. So I actually did pick Lamine Yamal's first goal for Spain at the Bernabeu against Cyprus. Now I know they won that match 7-1. It wasn't about the scoreline though. It's just the fact that Spain and Barcelona pushing out greatness, keep bringing out these players from the Messiah. The future is bright. So it definitely was a heartwarming moment because there are several injuries for the Spanish side this coming summer. But this question was also, I'd like to come back to it after the Euros and the Copa America, because I was going back, and yes, we had AFCON, yes, we had Asia Cup, but a lot of it was for the European teams anyways. A lot of qualifiers or World Cup qualifying matches. Messi had an amazing goal against Ecuador, free kick in September, great goal. But I want to see these two major tournaments to kind of give myself more to base it off of. But I'm going to stick with Lamine Yamal because he's just been a brilliant story from the beginning.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. We'll stick with a rain check for this one after the European and the Copa America tournaments as well. Maybe even the Olympics as well. That'd be a big storyline as well. Maybe Mbappe plays, maybe Messi plays even more for Argentina at the Olympics. That's another storyline to have later this summer. Travis, how about you? What's been your most favorable international memory of the season?
There's not been too many enjoyable England ones this season, I've got to say.
Kobe Mainoo.
Not Kobe Mainoo. I've gone for Scotland beating Spain 2-0 and absolutely rattling Rodri. That was
Scott McTominay.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite moment. I mean, you guys know how big a fan I am of Scott McTominay and him scoring 2 goals against one of the best teams in Europe vindicated me, I felt. But also the absolute head loss by Rodri after the game, and people like John McGinn just absolutely taking the mick out of him as well. Just brilliant. It's really just funny. That was my favorite funny moment of the season, really, I think.
Nah, that's class. I love that as well. For me personally, it kind of ties into another story, that's another headline that's coming up. Actually, no, I will be selfish with this one, and I will say, I don't know what it is, but I think this moment just encapsulated it for me. So I went to watch England versus Australia in a friendly, and I got to watch Trent Alexander-Arnold in midfield, and I thought, you know what? Like for me personally, Trent Alexander-Arnold has got to be one of England's key men for the summer coming up. For me as a midfielder, and today it signified that in terms of how they marketed the team. He wasn't classed as a defender; he was classed as a midfielder. So to see Trent play as a midfielder, that was very, very enjoyable. I know it was a friendly; it wasn't against a huge team in any respect to Australia. I do apologize to Australian listeners, but seeing Trent Alexander-Arnold basically unlocked as an England player, which we've been asking for I'd say around 4 years, Travis. We've been asking him to play as a midfielder because we've lacked quality there. And it was incredible to see what he could do firsthand as a football fan, to go, you know what, this guy can hold it down with Rice next to him, maybe Mainoo coming off the bench, but Bellingham and Alexander-Arnold have a potential to have an amazing midfield partnership for years to come for England. I'm really, really excited about that. And for me personally, it got me excited watching England again, having this kind of strength and depth that we've not used properly, which is great to see. So I'd like to see more of that as the summer goes on. And we'll be talking about a lot about the Euros. But my favorite moment personally, very selfish moment, was seeing Trent Alexander-Arnold. I know a Liverpool player, probably a Liverpool legend by the time he retires, but seeing him play for England in midfield, that was a very, very enjoyable moment. Brought a lot of good moments for me going forward. Right then,
I thought you were going to say Mainoo's debut, to be fair. When you said you were going selfish, I didn't expect you to be picking a Liverpool player.
I was being more selfish in terms of because I got to go to the games. I found it more selfish in that way,
okay.
which
Makes
is
sense.
cool. If it was on TV, I would have forgotten about it. But because I was at Wembley, I was like, yeah, it's a cool moment, which is good. If I was being very selfish, I would have gone for Austria beating Sweden in September and seeing Ralf Ragnick ball out and Marcel Sabitzer have an incredible game against Sweden as well. Seeing Victor Gyökeres, but he didn't score, so he didn't do a celebration. But it was more because of the fact that I like going to see England playing. When they play well, it's very, very enjoyable. But they don't play well often. They don't have a good style of play under Gareth Southgate. Next one, best comeback story, feel good story in international football. And I'm going to start off with this one. There's a very, very good story in the Asia Cup of Jordan beating South Korea to secure their final against Qatar, but they lost to Qatar, unfortunately. So that's going to be an honorable mention. Sarah and I have mentioned this quite a lot, and Travis, you know about this as well. The whole Sebastian Haller story, him coming back from suffering from cancer to play in professional football, to go into AFCON with his nation. You had someone like Wilfred Zaha who didn't make the squad for the Ivory Coast. You had their manager sacked during the tournament. And then you had Sebastian Haller coming on as a sub, scoring the winning goal in the final. Do you know how cold that is? That's what you can't even write fairy tales that are like that dramatic and that deep. And it goes to show how incredible football can be. And it goes to show the positive side of football as well. And Sarah, I know you've been a big fan of this storyline as well, but would that be something similar to what you were thinking of for your best feel-good story in international football this season?
First thing I wrote down.
Love it.
Sebastian Haller, no doubt. Absolutely. Like this is when it becomes more than football. And it doesn't matter if you follow football, if you know anything about football, you hear about this story and it's just, it warms your heart, and it's brilliant, and it's so courageous and admirable to see what he did. And yeah, you love it. You can't write it, and it's so well deserved. So absolutely, Sebastian Haller, best comeback of the season.
Love it. Travis, how about you? Where are we going for this one in international
Yeah,
football?
totally agree. There's no other option. He's got a Champions League final to play still as well. I mean, imagine if they won that. What an absolute fairy tale season it'd be. And like you say, you almost just can't write it really. To come back from something as horrific as that, to come back so quickly as well. He didn't spend a hell of a lot of time out of the game. And then to go back and win AFCON with your home nation, to then get to the Champions League final with a very unfancied team, I will say as well. I think when you factor in the fact that he got his big move to the Premier League, flopped, had to move elsewhere, it's just an absolute fairy tale story, like you say. And like you've both said, it's more than football. At the end of the day, it's a man's livelihood. It was almost his life altogether that could have been, it was in danger. So it's a lovely story to see. Not only that he's come back from it and he's recovered and he's healthy and he's living his life, but to see that he's having the best season of his career, as it's just amazing. Yeah, you can't be happier than to see something like that, really.
Editor, if you're not clipping this bit for our podcast, I don't know what you're going to be clipping for this week's episode, because that was literally the best part of appreciating what football can do for your life as well. He's going to becoming a national hero once again after suffering from cancer, nearly retiring from the game and nearly dying. That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible what Sebastian Haller has achieved as well. And like we said, maybe on Sunday morning, he'll be celebrating with the Champions League. We never know. We never actually know. Right then, onwards with the show. Ooh, international overachievers. We're going for this overachievers one again. This one, I did have an exclusive one for you, Sarah, but I think with this topic of discussion that we've got going on, I quite like it. But let me hear your thoughts first of all. International overachievers, because for me, I went for Georgia, qualifying for their first ever European Championship qualification as well. Winning the playoffs is incredible, and we're going to see them in their first tournament. What are we thinking, guys? What are we thinking, Sarah?
Yeah, I love the Georgia show. Again, I feel like some of this might have to wait until after the Copa and the Euros. But for me, I actually went for Portugal with their Euro
Ooh.
qualifiers, not losing one of their 10 matches. Relax, calm down. Let's get there. Like they absolutely came out of the gate swinging. I think because everyone's been following, is Italy going to make it? England, what's going on with Southgate? Spain, several injuries. France is always a hot commodity. Germany, terrible. And then Portugal has kind of been under the radar because of all these massive stories and other teams. And yeah, they've won every one of their qualifiers. They absolutely smashed it. And I think they're definitely a team to watch. So I had to give it to them, but I'm happy to also, Georgia qualifying. Our boy Kvara getting there. It's huge too. So you guys can decide this one, but both are great.
Travis, did you have a third option for your choice? Anything from AFCON, anything from the Asia Cup as well, anything from qualifying? Do you have anything
No,
on your mind?
I think again another clean sweep. We've had a few of them, haven't we? Georgia is for me the biggest overachieving story I've seen from international football. And I actually was reading a little bit about it earlier today, just in preparation. And it's quite an interesting story. I don't know if you guys know this, but it's not something that's just come out of the blue. This is a long-term project that the Georgian Football Federation have been kind of planning and laying the groundwork for years. They've been trying to invest in the sport, build the sport over in that country. And since the inception of the Nations League, they've been promoted twice within that. Last year, they hosted the under-21 Euros alongside Romania, and they broke records for the highest combined attendance in the history of the tournament. And also, since that tournament, the three largest crowds for under-21 European Championship games in the history of the tournament have all featured Georgia during that tournament, the top three, not even just they beat the record once for highest attendance in a game, but 3 times. So it just goes to show that if these football federations are eager to put some effort into it and some money and some time and effort, it really can wield good results. And I'm really happy for them they've qualified.
Yeah, it's a great story. It's very heartwarming as well because from my scouting connections, I've got like 2 or 3 friends from Georgia, from Tbilisi, and they've been going on about all these young players coming through. And then the first one that came through, it wasn't Kvaratskhelia, it was their goalkeeper who plays for Valencia. I forgot how you pronounce his name, but they were telling me all about him. And I'm like, yeah, he'll be good. And I watched him in a game, I think it was a Europa League game a couple of years ago. I'm like, damn, this guy's actually good. And as actually, Georgian football is one to watch. And we've spoken about Georgian football here and there on the podcast. But I think over the summer, they would be a very big fan favorite with the type of football they play, the Kvaratskhelia appeal as well, like Sarah mentioned. A lot will be happening for Georgia, especially in their group of, I like how I have this here, by the way. Turkey, Georgia, Portugal, Czech Republic. That's going to be a very, very good group to watch. And they may even sneak a 3rd place position into the knockout round. So all to play for Georgia in the European Championships. All right, then. I'm going to put Sarah on the spot. Then I'm going to put Travis on the spot. So Sarah, you have your exclusive award of Asia Cup moment of the tournament. And then Travis, you've got AFCON moment of the tournament as well. So Sarah, by all means, Asia Cup moment of the tournament. Could it be one of those special goals that we saw? Could it be the moment where Qatar lifted the trophy again? Where are we going with this one, Sarah? I know it wasn't the Qatar one. I was fuming at that one.
Yeah, weren't we all? There's so many moments in the Asia Cup, and we followed it really closely. But to me, it has to be Palestine qualifying for the first time out of their group, just with everything going on. Again, bigger picture here. This how this team even, had this not created a football team, but gathered the players for this football team, went to this tournament knowing everything going on back home, and qualified for the first time into the round of 16. Like, come on. They really deserve it all. Like, everything. It's absolutely amazing. I can't even imagine how these players were even playing, thinking about what's going on back home. So really, just it has to be what Palestine did here. Really great. Really absolutely well deserved.
Absolutely. I mean, I can say it on air because I've said it to both of you guys previously. The fact that our podcast is a podcast that actively supports Free in Palestine and everything that goes along with it in terms of supporting all the victims, all the charities that are going with it. And we've had sponsorship deals, potential deals going down because they've seen that we've actively promoted what we do. I'll happily continue the stance of supporting Palestine as much as I live, I would say, because it goes to show that a lot of people are turning their opinions on what they see on the news because they're learning and they're taking their own information in as well about what's actually happening. And for their football players to be representatives of their country to the world in a national football tournament, to an international football tournament, it shows great level of bravery that their players did. I know they weren't the best of teams, but it didn't matter because they went to show what their country was all about. They showed heart, grace, and determination on the pitch, and it was amazing to see what the Palestinian football team have achieved as well. And now there's loads of really cool Palestinian football kits that are coming out that are 100% donated to charity as well. So that could be something that we could potentially look at going forward as well, getting some Palestinian football kits, which would be quite cool. And when I was in Spain as well, there's a lot of protests regarding Free Palestine. So I joined in as well. And I was an international protester at the time, which is good fun indeed. So Free Palestine and Palestine are our official winners of the Asia Cup moment of the of the Asia Cup moment of the season, which was great. Travis, we're off to Africa. Was it Mohamed Salah getting knocked out of AFCON? Let me hear it, my friend. Where are we going with this one? AFCON moment of the season.
I've gone for Ivory Coast sacking their manager in the group stage and then going on to win the tournament, because that is just the most ridiculous thing that I think has ever happened in the history of football.
Can we do that with Southgate, please? Just bring in Klopp for a couple of games. I'd love to see that.
Honestly, how you can sack a manager while you're still not even eliminated from an international tournament is crazy.
They finished third and they still qualified, which is crazy.
They qualified as one of the best performing third place teams, or however it works.
Yeah.
But I feel like whoever made that decision in the Football Federation over in Ivory Coast, I don't think they understood really how the tournament works. I feel like they've seen them finish third and gone, we're out, right, sacked, get rid of him. And it's a knee-jerk reaction and they've got rid. And then some assistant or intern or whatever has gone, oh, actually, we're still in the tournament. We do need a manager. And for them to go off and win it, what a ridiculous story, honestly.
What I found ridiculous about AFCON as well is the fact that Didier Drogba ended up celebrating with the trophy more than the actual players. And
Like John Terry.
Yeah, literally. He had his shirt on and everything. And I'm like, come on now. The players actually did it. Adingra has not even seen the trophy since he's won it, which is crazy to see. Oh, man. But that was a fantastic story in AFCON as well. And this is part of the final segment that we've got, but it's basically another favorite moment as well. So this is where you get to share your favorite moment of the season related to your football club. So favorite moment for Manchester United, Tottenham Hotspur, and FC Barcelona, respectively. So without further ado, Sarah, what's your favorite Barcelona moment of the season? And don't say me going to visit, because I know you'll have that clipped up and I'll be like, oh, damn, I'm caught red-handed. It was a very cool game to watch, though. Real Sociedad.
How about me going to visit when I saw them beat Royal Antwerp?
Got the team right. You got the team right. I love it. It's great.
No, yeah. What did I say last time?
Anderlecht. Said Anderlecht.
Yeah. Yeah, that was great. No, I think listen, this wasn't a good season for Barcelona overall. It really wasn't. Lots of concerns. So it was tricky, but I think I'd have to say confidently beating Napoli was one, but I think the first leg against PSG was a massive moment for Barcelona, because that was at the time when everything was still possible. When we were about to play Real Madrid in El Clasico, we could have still won La Liga. You know, we could have stayed in the Champions League, and beating Mbappe's side with Dembele, you know, at Parc des Princes, that was massive for Barcelona, especially
with your La Masia Wonderkid shining as well. Kubarsi, Yamal, Pedri's pass, incredible display from Barcelona that night in Paris.
Exactly, showing Dembele that we don't miss him at all, because Lamine is really the dream. But yeah, no, I'd have to say that it wasn't a great season for Barcelona. So slim pickings, but that was a standout moment in the season for sure.
Lovely stuff. Travis, how about you? What's your favorite Spurs moment of the season from your side?
Mine's a bit of a weird one.
It better not be losing to Man City. I swear, if it is, I'll be fuming.
No, I'm not that shameless. It is a loss, funnily enough.
Oh,
I've weirdly gone for the overall atmosphere of us losing 4-1 to Chelsea earlier on in the season.
The Jackson hat-trick. Oh, my goodness.
That was a weird day. It was a game where everything went wrong for us. You know, red cards, injuries. You couldn't really write what happened.
Poch winning away at Tottenham as well.
Yeah, on his first return back. But what really stood out to me with that game was we are going to play the way we play unapologetically. We're not going to change despite the circumstances. We're not going to bow down. We're going to play this way. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we'll die by the sword. And that was the moment for me. You know, obviously we had the 10 games prior where we'd not lost and we were playing beautiful football and all this sort of stuff. But funnily enough, even though we lost, that was the game that really, really sold me on Ange, because I was like, this guy just has something about him. He just has this philosophy that he believes in such an undying way, that against one of our biggest rivals, against a manager who used to manage this club and is legendary for this club, with 3 men down, we're still not going to give in. We're still going to play our way. We're still going to have 8 players camped on the halfway line. getting done on the counter attack time and time and time again. And you've got to remember, we were this close. We were millimeters off equalising in that game as well. Eric Dyer scored a goal that was so narrowly offside.
Sorry, you said
And
Eric Dyer, and I was like, he plays for Bayern Munich, doesn't? That's how long
yeah,
the season's
I
been.
forget
It's
that
crazy.
I forget that he started the season with us, and he was narrowly offside, and it nearly had a result at the end of it as well. And that was the moment for me that I was just sold on Ange. I was like, this is the guy. The players are going to play the way he wants to play, despite everything. The fans are going to get behind it, despite everything. So, weirdly enough, even though I should hate it because it was a loss to one of our biggest rivals with one of our greatest ever managers, managing our greatest, one of our greatest rivals, it was just a moment in time for Tottenham and a really weirdly positive moment, despite the fact that we got battered 4-1.
No, that's fair enough. That's nice. This one, the shades are back. My favorite moment of United's terrible season, their worst Premier League season of all time, isn't coming in the Premier League. I mean, I've had some good moments at Old Trafford this season. Andre Onana's last-minute penalty save against Copenhagen, seeing us beat good old Sheffield United. That was a good evening out because of the weather mostly and the social aspects, which was fun. But my favorite moment of watching Man United play this season has got to be seeing that German Tiger looking shocked on the touchline after Amad Diallo scores a 120th minute winner during Ramadan whilst he's fasting against Liverpool. And for Liverpool fans who are overly cocky and overly confident, we're going to smash you, we're going to wipe the floor with you, Klopp is going to get a quadruple, because at the time they were competing on all fours and had just won the Carabao Cup. They were fighting because they thought, you know what, we're going to do it all and it's going to start at Old Trafford. For Amad Diallo, of all players in the Man United squad, to score the winning goal on a counter-attack in the way that we've seen Mohamed Salah score continuously against Manchester United, left foot, bottom corner, celebrating in the Stretford end, that was an iconic moment for Manchester United's least iconic season in the Premier League. And I was very happy to see that happening because I was fasting as well. I think it's like day 3 or 4 of Ramadan. My head was gone. So I was knackered and I was only caring about food. And then you see the TV and you're like, oh my God, it's Amad Diallo of all players who we all know Anthony's not a good footballer for the Premier League. We all know he may not make it into the summer and may still be a Manchester United player. He could be back in Brazil. He could be back in the Netherlands. He could be playing in Saudi Arabia for all I care about when it comes to September. But Amad Diallo showed exactly why Man United fans have been craving for this guy to be playing for the last 3 years whilst he's been at Manchester United. And he finally showed up exactly the reason why. And it's incredible to see the technical ability this young man has on him. And for me personally, the fact that he refused to go to AFCON because he wanted to work his way into the Premier League side for Manchester United, that shows levels for his commitment for the club, because he could have walked away with an AFCON winners medal for the Ivory Coast, but he didn't make the squad because he's like, no, I want to focus on getting into Manchester United. And he proved so many people wrong, including Eric Ten Hag. So that was a big moment for me as a Man United fan, back in a Wonderkid who's shining and could potentially be starting for Man United on the weekend against Manchester City. So to see that German Tiger bow out the way he did at Old Trafford, that was a fun moment for me. A very fun moment.
I have to be honest, just a quick one to add to that. That day, I was a Man United fan. I can't lie. You know that I hate Liverpool. You know that I hate Klopp, and all this talk about his farewell tour and the quadruple. When I saw Amad Diallo score that goal to kill those quadruple hopes, honestly, I celebrated it like a Spurs goal. I honestly, really, genuinely did. And part of me sort of hopes that you win the FA Cups, there's a payoff to it. But yeah, I was a United fan that day.
It was crazy. It just was crazy. I saw Sarah laughing in the background on mute. So I was like, I wonder what happened there. But yeah, that German Tiger, we're not going to be seeing him in England anytime soon. The most over cocky manager I've seen. I love the way he plays football, but he believes a lot of his own hype. The fact that he goes on about, oh, if Liverpool need me, I'll be there. And I'm like, you're not Batman. Calm down. Relax. We're not going to see you on a gargoyle in Liverpool.
Just a quick one on Klopp. Imagine if United sacked Ten Hag and just threw the checkbook at him.
Anything you want. What do you want?
Can you imagine?
He would do it as well. That's the thing. He wouldn't
He
go, "Oh no, I've got."
wouldn't. No, he wouldn't do
He
it.
would. He would
He
go.
wouldn't.
He wouldn't go. "Oh, my loyalty is too big for Liverpool." He would do it. He'd had so
You
much more.
think?
I think he would.
He wouldn't. No way. He would tarnish. He'd throw away everything. They're talking about a statue and all this sort of stuff. That the plans would be straight in the bin. Absolutely no way.
I personally want him as the next England manager, but that's just a topic for another day as well. We will see how that goes, which would be good fun. I know Sarah wouldn't mind him at Barcelona as well. Jose would be sick as England manager. Are you still of that opinion, Sarah? If Xavi does leave in the summer, would you take a Jurgen Klopp in a year or two?
For sure, but I think he is leaving. And Marca posted today that Laporte said, "I'm not changing my mind. We don't want him."
So he is leaving then.
That video of him going into the door was such a meme moment. You're just like, let him in for goodness sake. Don't embarrass him in public like that. That was crazy from Xavi.
I swear, earlier in the season, I saw he was leaving at the end of the season. And then a couple of weeks ago, I saw that he's going to stay on for another season because the managerial market is trashed. And now I'm hearing again that he's on the way out. Like, I don't really know what's going on.
I don't know.
Maybe De Zerbi.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought, De Zerbi, but then Hams had his epiphany moment earlier at the pod.
Chelsea again.
Yeah, I could see him at Chelsea because obviously they love Brighton for some reason. And part of the reason
he's left Brighton, I believe, is because they won't invest to the level that he wants them to. I think he thinks he can take them further, but they won't invest. And if there's one thing that Chelsea are doing right now, it's investing in the playing squad. So I think there's definitely a synergy in belief systems there at the moment. But I do think Chelsea will finish 12th if they hire De Zerbi. I'm just putting that out there, early prediction.
Yeah, Conference League quarterfinals and all sorts, which will be incredible.
Yeah, Cole Palmer left back.
Can't be seeing the rise of Cole Palmer anymore. It's going to be like a multi-utility player, injured like Mitoma. Crazy to see his downfall as well. Right then, we're on to our final topic of, this is just another general award that you can give to a player within your own team. So who's been your most improved player from your team? Spurs, Barcelona, Manchester United, and why? Sarah, by all means, Barcelona. Improved doesn't really mean Lamine Yamal because he burst onto the scene. It could be a player that has played out of position. Wink, wink, Andreas Christensen. It could go for someone.
It's been great. I'd also say Rafinha has been great at adjusting to playing on the left side after being kicked out of his position, out of his spot. Most improved, I mean, is Pau Kubarsi a shout because he came into this.
It's your award. You can award it to whoever you want. It's all good.
Yeah, I mean, he came into this first team and he's only been getting better and better. And I say that because, his first game, there was talent there, but now he's becoming a starter, could be playing for the Spanish national team, and every game.
Keeping out Pau Torres as well. We can't forget that as well. Pau Torres has been incredible for Spain, and he left him out in the last international break.
I don't know what Salim was talking about.
I meant the last international break when Torres wasn't there. You mentioned how Kubarsi came in.
Exactly. So I'm happy to say Pau Kubarsi because he has been getting better every match I've been watching him. And yeah, the potential is, it could be really long. It could be great. It could be bright. And it looks like it's going to be. And I just think, yeah, he's developed as such a young player so quickly.
Absolutely. Travis, how about you for Tottenham Hotspur? Most improved player of the season for you?
I don't think we have anyone who's hugely improved. I think first half of the season I would have said Bissouma from the level he was at last season compared to the first half of this season. But since the turn of the year, his form has dropped off massively.
Could I suggest Pedro Porro for Spurs? I think it's absolutely fantastic.
There was two in my head. One was Porro because the first few months from January to the end of last season, he was getting battered.
He struggled
in every game. He really struggled. Couldn't really adapt. And it's not a great look when Tim Sherwood is saying you're one of the worst players that he's ever seen. So Porro was my first thought. The other one I wanted to give a mention to is Brennan Johnson, actually, because when we first brought him in, the first few games he played, I thought he looked dreadful. He looked like he was going to drown at Tottenham. He was weak. He didn't have what it would take to be a big six player. But the last few months, I think he's slowly, quietly developing into quite a good little player. And he's someone that I'm quite excited to see how he continues to further develop. I think if we can get a real goal scorer to take a little bit of the burden off people like Kulusevski, Johnson, Son, and he can just be a little bit more free. I'm excited to see what he could do next season. So I think I will go for Porro because of just the level he was at compared to where he is now. I do think, other than Trent, he's the best right back in the league, or has been at least this season. But yeah, special mention to Brennan Johnson as well.
Nice, done. For Manchester United, I think it's got to be clear and obvious that it's Diogo Dalot that's improved tremendously over the season as well. I like to shout out. Well, I didn't really see as Alejandro Grimaldo as improved, but I was only doing it for my club. But Grimaldo improving from Benfica to Bayern Leverkusen, that was a big improvement from what I saw. But obviously, we're just sticking to our club. So, Diogo Dalot for Manchester United, that was a really big improvement for him, being more of a leader, potential captain material, if the rumors are true of Bruno Fernandes leaving Manchester United as well. So I like to see more of Diogo Dalot, especially for Portugal at the European Championships. Cancelo on the left, Diogo Dalot on the right. That's going to be big for Portugal and Roberto Martinez going forward. And next one we've got is, this is just a fun one for me. Who's been your favorite player to watch that doesn't play for your football club? So it can be for anyone. My one, first of all, Alexander Isak. I love Mohamed Kudus, as you know, but Alexander Isak has been fantastic for me. And I hope the hype continues with him because there's a lot more to come from the young Swede at Newcastle. And I think it's going to be due a big, big move soon. Because remember, Sweden aren't in the Euros this summer. So I think maybe if they do need to sell some players, Newcastle, for their FFP, that could be a big move ahead for Alexander Isak. How about you, Travis? Favorite player to watch, not from your team?
I'm probably going to be really boring and go for De Bruyne again. I feel like I probably say it every time anyone asks me this question, but I think he's my favorite player ever to have not played for Tottenham. I just absolutely love the way he plays and everything that he does. Yeah, it's a little bit boring because obviously we all know how good he is, but yeah, I'd probably say De Bruyne, I reckon.
Nicely done. And Sarah, how about you?
Oh no, I got it wrong. I got it wrong. Scott McTominay.
Jeez. And then
Out of nowhere, 92nd minute comeback. I love it. It's fantastic.
And it's got to be Rodri for me. Love Rodri. Love biggest Rodri fangirl here. Just shows everything about him.
That's a
And
great shout.
On the final day of the Prem there, who's scoring? It's Rodri. Big time player. Brilliant for Man City. Going to be lethal for Spain this summer. So excited about it. Yeah.
Big money in that Spanish midfield as well. And there'll be talks about Kevin De Bruyne once again for Belgium as our podcast goes into the summer, which will be fantastic to learn more about as well. Now we're into our favorite trivial moments for the season as well. So this one, I thought, you know what, let's have a bit of fun with this one. So who's been your favorite TV pundit of the season? It can be from any TV station. It can be from anyone. It can be from any country as well. But Travis, let me hear your thoughts on your favorite TV pundit of the season.
Mine's a bit of an unpopular opinion because I feel like people don't like him, but I've gone for Gary Neville. I find him really insightful, and I do think he's very interesting. I think he tends to have generally the best interests of the game at heart when he speaks. So yeah, he's usually always my favorite pundit.
Nicely done. Sarah, how about you? Where are we going with this one?
It's TT.
Thierry Henry.
To Thierry Henry because he's actually a professional footballer, former manager, and
still a coach as well. Going to be coaching the France national team at the Olympics, which will be great.
Yeah, he actually is still a manager. But the way he talks about football, like it's a step above everyone else, and it's something that if you didn't play professional football, you might not think like that. So listening to him, it kind of allows me to see the football and the plays and the players so much differently, and I really appreciate it. He's a really classy guy too. Like I really appreciate the way he carries himself because he's, some of these pundits are jerks.
It's true. Like with me, my favorite one was seeing Alessandro Del Piero on CBS. That was one where I loved it. It was fantastic, and it was one of those where you don't see pundits being themselves that way, and you don't really see that as much on TV, but you see it so much on CBS, which is great, and that's what caught my eye a lot as well. I give a shout out to Louis Saha, the former Spurs and Man United striker. He was fantastic at one of the games this season because he was properly arguing with the whole Nottingham Forest decision, because Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher were given their normal opinion of, oh, you should respect the Premier League, yada yada yada. And Louis Zaha was like, well, actually, as a player and as a fan who's actually been opposed these decisions before, why can't we argue back? And he was giving it on them because for a lot of people at Sky Sports in the UK, when they see Carragher and Gary Neville speaking, they won't really debate or argue with them. But Louis Zaha gave it to them, so I like that moment. But for me, Alessandro Del Piero, I need more of him on UK TV, on social media, on American TV, of course, on CBS. A lot more to come from someone of such class and elegance about him as well. Fantastic player, fantastic pundit, fantastic legend of the game. Oh, right then. Goal of the season. Alejandro Garnacho for me against Everton. Unbelievable overhead kick. It has to be said for me. Loved it. Travis, how about you?
Yeah, Garnacho. Yeah, nice and simple, that one.
Nicely done. Sarah, how about you?
Federico Valverde against Manchester City. Volley.
Oh,
Swing it in.
unreal. Nah, it should be class. That should be good. Game of the season. What was your game of the season?
On top of that, it was Real Madrid, Manchester City 3-3, because even somebody like, I mean, I don't think any of us were rooting for any of them. I mean, I might have been leaning towards Man City more as a Barcelona fan, but that game, all of a sudden I was somehow so involved. Like the emotions were there, the back and forth, and it was quality football too. It wasn't, tap-ins and offside goals being allowed and VAR and this and that. It was a war in the best way possible, and that is football to me at its finest.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. For me, it was watching Bayern Leverkusen beat Bayern Munich at home. That 3-1, that last goal from Jeremy Frimpong. I was going nuts watching it. I was like, oh my days, this is the real change of guard in Germany. West when they went around 8 points clear in the Bundesliga and they were completely off the hook watching literally just Bayern Munich crumble in front of our eyes. That was incredible to see. So that was my game of the season, seeing Bayern Leverkusen, Xabi Alonso calmly decimate Thomas Tuchel and Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga. Travis, what was your game of the season?
We've already spoke about it a little bit, but I actually went for United versus Liverpool in the FA Cup.
Unreal game. I reckon I would have enjoyed that more if I wasn't fasting, but that was an incredible game nevertheless. But I was just knackered that day. Absolutely so tired of it. And what a moment to finish on as well. Last minute winner from Amad Diallo in the FA Cup quarter final, which is incredible. Right then, we've got a few more here, but I know we're short on time as well to end it, which would be good. I'm going to let you both choose one of the last remaining topics to end it. So Travis, you've got the list up. Sorry, you've got the list up as well. Travis, what award do you want to talk about to end the podcast from your point of view?
Might be a slightly big-headed this one, but
I know which one you'll go for.
I'm gonna go for prediction of the season.
Okay.
And I'm going for myself predicting 2-for-1 that Bayern would have a terrible season and that PSG would get to the semi-finals of the Champions League, where I was laughed at, by the way, when I predicted that. The other one I wanted to just give an honourable mention to was from our group chat on the last day of the season, with Hamza saying that Kudus would do something, I quote, inconceivable. And then he went off to score an overhead kick, which looked for a minute like it might start a comeback, which stopped City winning the league. It didn't in the end. If it did, it would have been Hamza, hands down, because he said West Ham will pull it off. Kudus will do something inconceivable. If that had been the start of the comeback and Arsenal would won the league, I'd have picked that all day long. But,
you would have hated me forever. I know. You would have hated me.
Definitely, yeah.
Rips up their contract and everything. Oh, my days. Travis has got some bold predictions. Sarah, how about your favorite predictions of the season? What would you go for, if you can remember off the top of your head?
I didn't go for a prediction. I went for my favorite Friday night counterattack moment this
Oh,
season. And it was actually when me and Hams were doing our African Cup. And George Weah being the Liberian president.
oh my God.
And we it went right over my head. I was trying to find stats on George Weah, and all that was coming up, Trav, was that he's the Liberian president. I said, who's the footballer then? And I got ashamed.
Didn't realize it was the same guy.
No, that's what I was trying to find out who it was. Well, I was trying to find out rather George Weah's stats. Of course, I knew he's a footballer, to Weah the son. But I was like, why is the only thing coming up is that there's a Liberian president. It was so like if you type him up, it only looks like he is a politician. So Hams and I had the biggest laugh. It was very embarrassing, very, very funny though. And that would have to be my Friday night counter attack moment because yeah, a bit embarrassing, but I loved
Yeah, that's
it.
very funny. That is very funny.
No, it was lovely because I was like, it's the son of Timothy Weah from Juventus. And Sarah was like,
Father of
yeah, yeah,
Timothy Weah.
father of Timothy Weah, sorry. And then it's just there like, yeah, but is the president of a country. I'm like, no, he used to play it. Which is great. That is incredible. It's a really good moment. And for me, just to end it as well. So it's like favorite co-host moment of the season. So to be fair, I think you might have just explained it for both of you as well. My favorite moment with Sarah this season has been just the ridiculous amount of quality drafts we've been having as well. It's been fantastic to see the football knowledge that's been going. But I think having that conversation about um we had that conversation earlier this season about Asian football. For me, that was a really big thing as well because we've spoken a lot about how a lot of Asian football doesn't get the representation it deserves and requires, I would say. And that was for me a personal favorite moment for me. Travis, my favorite moment with you on co-host is when we were talking a lot about how I was gonna say when you said Spurs are gonna win the league, but it's not because that's quite shameless of me. Is when you were talking with um, you're talking with Salim about how if Harry Kane leaves, Spurs will still be good, and a lot of people are like, yeah, you're not going to be good, and you held firm with it. That was a really good moment for me because you're like, yeah, we're going to be good, and even Suki was a bit defensive in terms of, no, we're going to be crap this season. And you're like, no, we're going to be good if he leaves. So we'll be upset, but we'll be good, and you proved a lot of people right with that as well. So I appreciate both of your opinions on the show. It's been absolutely fantastic, an amazing domestic season, and the summer is about to get started with European football. We've got the Champions League coming up, Europa League tomorrow at the time of recording, European Championships, Copa America, Olympic Games. We are here for it, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a fantastic award show as well. It's been good to have a nice laugh with my friends. It's been good to catch up on some of the best moments we've had of the season as well. And it's been an unbelievable season in terms of content creation. Probably the best, I would say. Absolutely the best content creation season we've ever had. And there's so much more to come, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone, thank you very much for your time. Sarah, Travis, any closing messages from yourselves before we wrap up for today?
I think Travis needs to let his dog out. That's all I know.
That's all I'm seeing. That's all I'm seeing.
Yeah.
It's been great, guys. Honestly, this was fun. I love at the end of a season going back and looking at it all because you forget so many little things. And yeah, it's a good time. I really like it. So good job to both of you. It was lots of fun.
We've still not done our Premier League team of the season draft. We've still not done our Champions League one. We've still got more to come with draft. So we're going to be here. We're going to be ready for it. And there's lots more to come, which will be great. Travis, any closing words from yourself besides letting you talk out?
Just my first full season with the podcast. Really enjoyed it. I know obviously I took
two best signings of the season, Sarah Perari and Travis Collier. That's what I'm saying. We got Travis on a loan to buy and it became a permanent deal. I love it.
Yeah, it's been a great one. And just seeing the work that you put in every day, every week, every month with it, Hamza, it's so inspiring. And yeah, it's just an honor to just be along for the ride, really. So thanks for having me as always, and I'm looking forward to the summer and the coming seasons.
It's going to be lovely. It's going to be worthwhile because we're doing it as friends together, which is what makes it even more sweet going forward, which will be great. But everyone, thank you very much for listening across the domestic season. I appreciate every single one of you who have been liking, sharing, and commenting on our social media posts, just not the racist and the sexist ones, because you will get called out and embarrassed on social media by me, because that was also, I'm going off topic, but that was one of my favorite moments of the season when people were trying to comment about how Mbappe will dominate against Sula and Hummels, and then Borussia Dortmund won against PSG. And I commented back and they were just like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm like, good, you should apologize. That was a good moment for me. But everyone, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for a fantastic domestic season. Once again on Friday Night Counter Attack. Hopefully we can continue to build on bigger and better things. There are definitely bigger and better things in the pipeline. We're ready for it. We're here, we're refreshed, and we're going to have a fun summer ahead. I'm looking forward to it. Everyone, thank you very much. Take care. We'll see you later. Goodbye.